What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special expansion review, and today I'm very excited to check out Vikings Gone Wild. It's a kind of magic expansion from Lucky Duck Games. 2 to 4 players, take about 45 to 70 minutes to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And Vikings Gone Wild, it's a kind of magic expansion. It's going to add magic to your amazing game of Vikings Gone Wild. You're going to be able to buy new units. You're going to have new spells that you'll be able to implement to potentially hurt or harm other people. But my favorite new aspect is the fact that you are now going to be able to damage people's buildings, to curse their buildings, so their defense will be going down. What am I talking about? Does it make the game better? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Vikings Gone Wild. It's a kind of magic expansion. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule book. It is 6 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it's okay. I wish it was more clearly stated that the spells actually replace the defensive units. They kind of mention it a little bit, and then in the suggested setups, they really explain that better to you. But for the most part, it's a well-done rule booklet. You probably need it, 2-3 times and never again, because this is more cards for the most part for the fantastic game Vikings Gone Wild. So we're going to talk about the new cards you're going to get in the game, starting with the least cool and to the most cool in my personal opinion. So first, you got 2 end game 6-pointers to the most player with the most Dreckeye cards, to player with the most of these cards. Those will have the symbol in the upper left-hand corner right here. Pretty self-explanatory. You probably should have guessed you'd get those. Next, you're going to get some more of these cards. Cancel a spell, buy or play a card, own a sorceress tower, buy or play a Dreckeye card. More of these cards, more missions that you can go on. Once again, pretty self-explanatory stuff you probably would have expected. Now, let's talk about the new units, though, because there's going to be 3 types of new units in the game. So first, we have the sorceress. She's going to do 3 damage, or she could cancel at any time a spell played by an opponent, which can be pretty useful as well. So, next, we have the Dreckeye, and he is my new favorite card introduced in here, at least. So, he is going to be a pretty expensive unit at 4 gold, or 4 wood, 4 beer, 3 gold. But he's going to do 4 damage, plus you get to place a Dreckeye egg in your village. This is a Dreckeye egg. If it does not get attacked, if it's not successfully destroyed, at the beginning of your next turn, you flip it over, and boom, you have 3 additional damage to do next time, which is really kind of cool and thematic, and really big fan of those cards right there. So you're going to be getting those units as well. Last, you're going to get the Shaman. He's a little bit of a hippie. Very useful, though. 1 damage or draw 2 cards. So versatility, which is always something I am big on. So the next thing we are going to be getting is the spell cards. Now, the spell cards are suggested to take place of the blue defense cards. These guys right here. And they have kind of like a Star Realms-esque row where they're going to be constantly changing. So let's show you some of the cards you're going to get. So this one, 1 beer or 1 gold. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Discard a card, get 2 beer. This one is going to give you +2 defense or produce one of these tokens. I'll tell you about these tokens in a minute. Magic potions, we already talked about that one. Destroying cards in your hand or discard pile, draw 2 cards, or destroy a card in your hand or discard pile, +2 defense, or cancel at any time a spell played by an opponent. So lots of different cards you're going to be getting there. I think there's maybe like 7 or 8 different cards that will be in this row. And there's actually a lot more cards than this. They're just still in the box. They're I ended up mixing them in with a buy row, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. So next, you're also going to get, I believe, 8 of these cards that actually will be going in the top buy row that always is changing. There's some pretty cool ones. 3 damage or produces one of these, which I'll talk about in a second. Draw a card. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard. Discard a unit card attacking you. More cards. You want more cards. Always a good thing. Now let's talk about my favorite new aspect to this expansion, which is going to be the Sorceress Tower. So this is going to be a building. Cost you 3 gold. You understand all that. But it's going to allow you to produce one of these tokens, either this or this. This will allow you to curse other people's buildings, and their defense will go down by 1 on that building. And you can have more than 1 of these on a building. So if people start stacking these on your town hall, that's not good for you. But luckily, you could cure them all by putting one of these on there. So this will either preventively kind of guard you from someone putting this on, at which point it will just cancel it out, or it will completely cancel out a bunch of these that you already have on you. So I really like these, especially if you can get 2 or 3 of these buildings. It makes attacking so much easier when you're like, yeah, -1, -1, -1, boom, let's go attack your city. So I really like that, and also a lot of cards correspond to these as well. Last but not least, you're going to get one more of these big powerful dudes, $2 plus, or 2 damage plus 1 damage to hell for each unit card in your discard pile. Pretty situational, but still, towards the end of the game, can be very powerful. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get in the It's a Kind of Magic expansion. Alrighty then, Vikings Gone Wild from Lucky Duck Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, still 2 to 4 players, restricted player count. Another comment I have with this game is that it is going to add, something, but at the same time, it's removing something, which I'm not the biggest fan of. You know, it adds the spells, which I really do like the spells, but it removes the units, the defensive units. And I love the defensive units. I love those blue cards. And the way I found around that was actually that we just mixed in all those spells with that big persistent biro at the top. So you never know when spells are going to come up. And I really like doing it that way a lot better. And that is the way I think most people are going to want to do it. I played twice using those instead of defensive units, and I really did miss the defensive units. So we had a lot more fun when we mixed them in with that, so you never knew when the spells were going to come up, which also made some of those missions slightly more difficult. But anywho, continuing on, any other cons that I have with this? You know, if you weren't a fan of the original Vikings Gone Wild for nuts and bolts mechanical purposes, this is probably not going to change your mind. There's still a lot to decide from in this game, and it's going to be a little bit overwhelming sometimes for newer gamers, especially with how I like to play it, where we put all the buildings out, we put all the units out, there's just tons and tons of options. But moving on to the pros, I love this. Slap a Bauer's best seal on the original Vikings Gone Wild if you get this expansion. Now, I love the original Vikings Gone Wild, but one of my main problems with it that I think a lot of people were going to have was that there wasn't as much variability as you would like. So this adding more cards and more variabilities, it's going to give you, 3 new units. It's going to give you the really cool Drekai eggs. It's going to add you some new cards you'll be able to put out there, those different spells. Just makes the game a little bit better. It pushes it into the upper echelon of a game. I would rank a 9 or higher on Board Game Geek. I also have the Kickstarter cards, and I have this, and it's just an amazing game with all that mixed in, and it's still, even with this expansion, which has probably like 100 cards or something like that, it still feels like the sky is the limit for how many different things they could keep implementing into this game. I love this expansion. I will never not play with this expansion, even with newer gamers. That being said, that is if you are mixing the spells in with all the other ones. Do I think I'll play it again with the spells replacing the defensive units? Probably not. I thought it actually detracted from the game. But mixing it in with all your regular, all the regular stuff on that top biro, absolutely. Vikings Gone Wild, it's a magic kind of expansion. If you like Vikings Gone Wild, this is a no-brainer. Get it. It's just that simple. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Mead, do you like it? For me personally, yes. I actually had it for the first time last year, and I really enjoyed mead. I like honey a lot, though. It tastes way better than beer, in my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Mead, is it for you? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.